2 weeks ago in Budapest, I sat down with a friend of mine called Marek, and I had the chance to interview him for you guys and to share some of his knowledge and wisdom on YouTube. And it's a pretty interesting conversation that we had because you don't have a lot of conversations with 9-figure entrepreneurs, right? So I basically sat down with him and asked him about his mindset, his worldviews, and his paradigms around entrepreneurship and e-commerce. And the stuff that he shared was super, super interesting, right? It literally felt down like sitting down with Sam Owens or Alex Becker or Alex Hormozi, just because he is so unique in terms of how he thinks about business and how he acts. So I really advise you to watch this video multiple times and really digest what he's saying.
The first thing that you can talk about is how do you approach business? How do you make sure that you as an entrepreneur have a really solid, good output in business and can bring it forward? Like, what would you say would be the most impactful factor?
I think you know the concept. I actually think that it was Sam Owens, right? That the business is a reflection of you. Sam Owens, is that? Yeah. So, I think honestly, business is really a reflection of you, which means that if you work on yourself, the business will improve. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't work on the business, but you really have to make sure that you cultivate your character. Keep things simple. Don't really overcomplicate. Really look at the asymmetries. What is the 80-20? Actually, first start with what do I want to do? Where do I want to be? Like very clear output, desired outcome. And then I just go back and realize, how am I gonna get there? What is the best, most efficient way to get there? You observe, you analyze, you synthesize, you form hypotheses, you test the hypothesis, you evaluate, you communicate, you iterate, evaluate, and eventually form it into a principle. But that's like just one way of doing things, and I think that what apart from like apart from the copywriting, the creatives, the CRO, which everything is super important, what I try to do is just develop strong mental frameworks that will allow me to do the specific skills the best way possible. Because I think that it's through this cross-disciplinary approach where you're able to synthesize and see the whole picture, and you go deep, like whether it's CRO, and you don't really talk about CRO. You actually talked half of the presentation about psychology. So you kind of, as you have these mental, I call it mental frameworks. I don't even know that's what it is, but it's the best term I can come up with. So you kind of come up with you develop over time these frameworks through whatever you're reading and the people that you're following. That's why I think Sam Owens was very influential, because I think that he actually was the one who was talking about a lot of these principles. And then even you go even more abstract, like I mentioned, whether it's reading some difficult literature or something unrelated, because that's what really helps you hone your intuition. And your intuition eventually, then when you hone your intuition in that regard, I mean in that respect, suddenly when you do copywriting, it becomes very different, because you have this intuition, and when you apply to that intuition, when you feed that intuition with a certain input for something specific, it like the output is something very, very different and unique and authentic, and that's why I think it works. So kind of you want to try to get the best out of both worlds. You want to try to have the right mental frameworks, but at the same time, you also want to have these like develop the develop these specific skills, if that makes sense.
Did you read the book Cybernetics? Yeah, because I feel like it's like one of those concepts. It's like a book that I can recommend every single one of you, Cybernetics, where they have the concept of basically the power of the subconscious mind, right? Because you have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious, right? And basically what the book is saying, like the long story short version of that is, and also what Marek just mentioned, you want to do a great job at feeding a lot of valuable information into your subconscious mind, right? Just like digested information. And then over time, also through like trial and error processes and learning and iterating, your intuition is going to become sharper and sharper in certain areas. And then it's like at the end of the day, what's going to give you shower thoughts or shower ideas, right? Or like you walk around and then you have a great idea. That's basically your intuition and your subconscious putting a thought into your conscious. And it's really difficult to like explain it or make it like an exercise or something, right? It's more of like you have to consume certain high-level input information into your brain, and then over time let your brain do the work, right? It's almost like your brain is a quantum computer or an AI. And for example, if you use ChatGPT right now, you also have to feed valuable data input into ChatGPT to train it to work better and give you better outputs. And that's how you have to think about your brain. And I also I did a consulting with Will Hodges from Organifi. You remember from the other ESS, and his whole consulting, like I did it with my business partner. We worked with him for like 2 months. Like we had a call once a week, and this was the whole thing he kept telling us: like become better at asking high quality questions, and then ask those questions on like a walk or during the shower, so that your subconscious can give you the answer, right? You have to become really skilled at asking high quality questions, and then don't like stress or sit down at the paper or something, but like come up with a really high quality, precise question to anything you want to solve or like a desired situation, and then let your subconscious do the work. And then you just have to have a lot of subconscious time, is what he called it, in terms of like walking around, not doing anything else, and meditating, not doing anything else. And then over time, your subconscious mind will give you the answer to this question. It's also a really abstract concept, but it was super, super interesting, and it also really, really helped us along the way.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would add is it really depends on where you are at your journey, because there were times, I mean, working on yourself and asking better questions is very, very, I would say, applicable at no matter where you are at your trajectory. You never want to stop asking better questions, right? Because you continually evolve. But I would say one thing, and that is, yeah, depending on your journey, I don't know who are the listeners, but depending on how far you are in your journey, you have to identify. Because, for example, like some of these frameworks, I wouldn't find them valuable when I was starting out. I wouldn't really be able to extract from it as much. And so that's why you also need to just, still work on your character. I think that it's timeless, and regardless of your journey, that's one thing that's one thing that will actually get you where you want to be ultimately, because again, the business is a reflection of you. But even when I watch my journey backwards, which, I mean, granted, it's not ideal, my journey, it's just my journey, so that's all I can speak about. I also went, like, I was not really, like taking walks and letting my subconscious mind work. Now I do it, and I love it, and I enjoy it, and I feel like I'm actually much more even attuned with who I believe I should be. I should become, and who I want to become, if that makes sense. Yes. Hey, it goes back to good old Simons, and again also Cybernetics. Anyways, the point I was trying to make is that it really comes down on where you are in your journey, but just curate, cultivate your character, work on that tirelessly, and goes back to what Alex Hormozi said. I really like that. It's good to say that on a video. I think that it's important, because you're at this, I don't know, I have this weird feeling, like after the talk I gave here, a lot of people come and talk to me about spirituality and stuff like that, because I just talked, I guess, in abstracts, and also because I'm going through it, I'm not the best in articulating, so they might misinterpret some things, because I'm still going through it, right? So as I'm experiencing it, and I will continue to refine it, I'm sure that in 1 year I'll be able to talk about it better. But anyways, point is, it's a long way to say. I will essentially quote Hormozi. He said, look, successful people become successful because they do whatever needs to be done to become successful. But what very often happens is once they become successful, they start to fill their lives with routines and with things that are not important and that didn't contribute to their success. And then later on, they will sell you on the idea that it was these routines that made them successful. And it's very wrong. So I really don't want people to misinterpret this whole kind of spiel that we're having here. Again, going back to, I don't know who the audience is, because it's relevant to people that are already having successful, that are not even successful business. I guess that realistically we're talking all about to entrepreneurs, but it's about how far they're in their journey, because different information is relevant at a different stage of the journey. And I think that that's what's really important. And you wanna always look just a few feet ahead of where you are, because that's the most relevant to you. Even the same goes to your mentors. If you right now had Elon Musk as a mentor, wouldn't really be helpful as much to you, because he's just so much further. Versus if you have someone who is few steps ahead of you, you will be able to extract much more. You will close the gap, and then you will jump again and again. Does it make sense?
Yeah, a lot. And also the one thing that I want to point out to close this up, you mentioned the building the character a lot, and this also is one of the things that Tony Robbins likes to mention a lot in the personal development courses that he's doing, and also in the book. At the end of the day, with whatever successes you're going to achieve and whatever goals you achieve, what matters most and what is going to be the most fulfilling for you is who you're becoming throughout the journey and the character that you're building. Regardless of the goals that you achieve, and at some point in the journey, every entrepreneur, it's not like a crazy different to make 100 million to 200 million. Right? At some point, it's like a vanity metric. It's just a goal that you set to keep track of the success, but it's more so the person you become. And then at some point, you reflect the journey, and you sit like an event like this, and you look back and you think, wow, I really became this character. I really went through all of the struggles. I learned so much stuff. I really built myself up, and that's the most fulfilling that happens throughout the journey. So a really great point you made around focus on your character building, focus on becoming a great person, and then the business is going to be a reflection of that.
Yeah, closing words. Just do hard things, do things that are very uncomfortable, because your biggest enemy lies where you least want to look. And it's like Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, at the end of the book, they asked him a question: what would you change if you went back before you started Nike? What would you change? Would you do anything different? And he said, I would have done nothing different. I would just love to have the journey again, because it's all about the journey, which means who you're continuously becoming, and who you become at any given moment. But you're always becoming. That never stops. So that's it.
Nice one. Thanks so much for the time.
If you enjoyed this video, and if you want to dive more into the mindset of successful founders, then I suggest you to watch this video that I'm going to link down below with my good friend David, where we talk about the mindset and the approach of how we run our businesses. And check this out now.